spring. The snow has melted, the cherry blossoms are blooming, and the US has started living an hour ahead of the rest of the world. You know what that means? A new, huge season of anime thrown at the wall to see what sticks. And I'm here to find the stickiest, nastiest, crustiest. Okay, wait, wrong kind of metaphor. But I am here to sift through all the refuse and find the diamonds in the rough no one is willing to look for. This is the quality check for spring 2026. Some things I need to say since this is my first attempt at this. First, I have watched the first episode from every show this season, including ONAs. Any sequels, if I am currently caught up, will be discussed in the quality assured video I make that will have all my finalized recommendations I'm releasing halfway through the season. Subscribe to make sure you catch it. Now, as for how the grading works, it's very simple. If I pass a show, that means, barring extenuating circumstances, I'll be watching the entire show. If I fail a show, that means I have complete and total disinterest. Everything else will be under review for the time being. I usually end up around 15 shows, so feel free to make a guessing game out of what I end up watching. Now, with all that out of the way, this is a landscaping job, sadly, and there are usually a lot of weeds to pull up every season. So let's get right down to business, starting with Rooster Fighter. Do you like midlife crisis cock? What about crime-fighting cock? Then Keiji is the right rooster for you. He isn't your mom's foghorn leghorn. Bringing down a monster 20 times his size while smoking a pack of cigarettes only slightly tires him out. Hear his fearsome battle cry. So yeah, I know One Punch Man Season 3 was a downer. Can I interest you in One Kick Rooster instead? But seriously, this is one of those only in Japan moments, in my opinion. I didn't hate it, found it even funny at times, but it pushed past my personal bizarre threshold, and the CG, while fitting for the comedy, just put me off for some reason. I could see this cooking later on, get it, like chicken, but this'll have to be a fail from me. Agents of the Four Seasons, Dance of Spring. In the beginning, there was winter. Winter created spring because he was too afraid to go to the bathroom by himself. People bullied Winter for being weird, so he created summer and fall to get away from everyone for longer. Eventually, all the seasons were so sick of everyone, including each other, that they gave the power of seasons to random humans and left Earth. Those humans would begin politicking, and eventually Spring's agent, Hinagiku, noped the fuck out. This is the story of her return 10 years later. No, but seriously, I was low-key looking forward to this one. Wit Studio and a unique mythological story about seasons? Count me in. I was expecting great bursts of color and animation, and while it didn't land exactly where I wanted visually, it just didn't blow me away. I'm still interested enough in the overall plot to continue watching. This is what happens when a studio makes 3 shows in one season. This is easily a 3-episoder just for how little we got from the initial episode. There's a lot we haven't been told, and it's very obvious. As it is, it gets a very slim pass from me. Hoping for some action next episode, they teased some good-looking fights in the trailers. The strongest job is apparently not a hero or a sage, but an appraiser. Provisional. Tell me if you've heard this before. Man gets isekai'd. His ability is the weak-ass appraisal ability. Turns out it's the most OP ability in the New World. He gets a busty elf companion and fights generic tongue-wagging rapist villains. This is that show for this season. If you're in the slop consumption era of your anime watching career, I'm sure this will be right up your alley. First 30 seconds, some straight gooner bait just happens, and it becomes a running gag within the same episode. Real classy. This isn't even classified as an ecchi or anything. If that doesn't tell you this story's priorities, I don't know what will. And it's one of those, I have a useless skill that just so happens to secretly be the best skill shows. So the bar is already starting extremely low. And it doesn't pass that bar. So fail. Moving on. The Food Diary of Miss Maid. Maid in training, Suzume Tachibana, is stuck in Tokyo for a year. What does she plan to do? The only thing a foreigner in Japan does. Eat. Suzume is going on the food journey of a lifetime. Taiyaki, melon bread, takoyaki, onigiri. All the staples of a modern Japanese salaryman's dinner. Suzume's snack run of wonders is bound to whet your appetite. I'm not averse to a solid food anime. It looks very good, and the food looks as incredible as it should. A very prototypical food-centric slice of life show. The setup is just a little weak for me. I need some kind of through line. I mean, they intro each section with a picture of the food on topic and don't really have much tying it all together. That feels more like an advertisement than a story. But I do need at least one comfy show for the vibe switch, so this one goes under review for now, though I may find something better. Go for it, Nakamura-kun. Shy boy Nakamura fell in love with his dreamy classmate Hirose. There's one big problem though. They've never even met. And Nakamura is barely able to stop himself from tripping over his own words. Will he be able to ask Hirose out to play World of Warcraft with him without messing up big time? The throwback Ranma half art style was done strikingly well, and the comedy actually landed more than I expected. The leads are just as adorable as any other rom-com's MCs. My hang-up is just that I don't really watch a lot of BL. That won't stop me from giving this a chance, though. Comedy makes this way more accessible to me than other BLs, and the two leads are very real in an anime sort of way, which helps me connect to them even if their experience isn't my own. The charm reached me, just enough to not fail this completely. So, under review, it goes. Always a catch. Maria is a supposed princess of high prowess who was a shoo-in for the heir of her dukedom until a male heir was born and she was thrown to the wolves to find a husband. Not wanting to marry too close to family, she decides to study abroad and find her soulmate among the upper class of Rubini. There, the crown prince decides to publicly humiliate her accidentally by breaking off an engagement they never had in front of the entire student body. What a freak! This is described as a villainess story. There wasn't anything of substance in the actual episode, but the preview for episode 2 made this look like Diet May I Ask for One Final Thing. Since I saw that show already, and I don't see much setting Always a Catch apart, I can't say I'm incredibly enthused to keep watching. If it's your first villainess show, I can't say you'll be disappointed, but there are definitely better options out there. With that said, this is going to get a fail from me. Ramparts of Ice. Higawa Koyuki had such a tumultuous middle school experience, she put up metaphorical ramparts of ice around herself. In high school, she meets Amamiya Minato, a boy so hot he melts the ramparts around her soul. This is the story of their and their closest friends, Minato and Yota's, mixed up lives. As a recent newbie fan of Polar Opposites from last season, discovering that Ramparts of Ice was from the same mangaka instantly had me more interested. Those feelings were affirmed after the first episode. You can instantly feel that same charm. Its laugh per minute ratio is definitely lower, and the focus has shifted from MCs already dating back to budding romance. But one thing remains that I'm just an absolute sucker for: changing character design or manipulating models to achieve a desired feeling. If done well, it's one of my favorite artistic decisions, and the mangaka, as well as the animators, do it incredibly well. Needless to say, I'm passing this one. Kirio Fanclub. Two friends, Aimi and Nami, are crazy stans for one of their classmates, Kirio. Their idea of fun is listing off their favorite parts of Kirio down to the last organ, or working on their Kirio impersonations. But when push comes to shove, will Aimi and Nami end up choosing Kirio or their wonderfully insane relationship? The setup of two friends proving they love someone more than the other is rather novel, and that leads the comedy to be rather unique as well, which is a huge plus because jokes stale incredibly quick. Aimi and Nami are delights, while Kirio seems like a wet blanket on purpose, for comedic effect. I'm a sucker for a good comedy. Don't know if it'll hold up to some of the great comedies I've seen this past year, but it still got a few laughs out of me. They also slightly set up some drama between the girls at the end of the first episode. It doesn't seem like that kind of show, though, and I'd rather it not ruin the fun comedic vibes with surprise drama. As a comedy, it hasn't completely sold me. I'm putting it under review for now. We'll see if I have space for it by the end of this video. Petals of Reincarnation. Toya Senji is talentless, forever cursed to be a little bitch. But his fortune changes when he meets Haito. Turns out the newest Assassin's Creed Animus is a knife that connects you to your past life once you slice your own throat with it. Talk about the bleeding effect. Haito asks Toya to join her squad of heroic historical figures, but it turns out even his past lives are bitches. What will happen in this Diet Fate Battle Royale? Wow, be careful you don't cut yourself on all that edge. I can't deny that Petals feels like the guiltiest pleasure show to come out in a while. This has the potential to be the Akamega kill of the new generation. This show had me thinking of Assassin's Creed with all the power of your ancestors stuff. I wonder if the mangaka got inspired by it. The pacing felt blazing fast. Nothing was explained all that thoroughly or understood just from watching, and I could barely tell what was going on. That's fine. You don't need it in perfect action slop. The biggest actual problem is the backgrounds and characters kind of clash artistically, but dumb fun is dumb fun. Guilty pleasure contenders go under review just as a rule, but the more I think about it, the more I feel like I'm gonna have a great time watching it. Haibara's Teenage New Game Plus. Natsuki Haibara was a loser in high school, and even though he turned out alright in the end, his regrets are so strong, a divine force pulls him back in time to a month before his first year. Can Haibara survive the regression, climb the school's hierarchy, and get the girl of his dreams? I don't know, but I think the answer is probably yes. Isn't this just real life, except the MC actually travels back in time? Either way, I've already seen a better version of this. I don't really have much to say for that reason. My first thought, the mom is hot. My second thought, it's got pretty bland art. I hope they put some depth into these characters because I see nothing interesting about any of them, including Natsuki. The one dynamic that has an angle worth investing in is the Miori Reita ship. I was expecting Natsuki to be the only focus, but the side ships are somewhat interesting. Bog standard in every way, which is fine, but I'm beyond these shows, so this is getting a fail. Killed again, Mr. Detective. Sakuya Otsuki is the son of a legendary detective. With his Goonerbait assistant Lilithea, he strives to live up to his dad's legacy. Sadly, he always ends up dying on his cases. But a mysterious power keeps his soul tethered to his body. Every time he wakes up, Lilithea's thighs are there to keep Sakuya company and help him solve the many bizarre cases he stumbles into. I haven't watched it, but the title made me think, oh, this is the male the detective is already dead. The art is a bit lacking, which is a shame because they showed off some really cool character designs. First episode is also a bit of a slow burn, carried hard by the fun dynamic between the detective and his assistant. I was waiting the whole time for the detective to die, though I'll admit when the finale hit, it kind of got me. I'd at least give the first arc a watch to see if the level of mystery is what you want, since we really don't have much of a clue at this point. With that said, I was actually pleasantly surprised at my level of enjoyment while watching. Barring an atrocious answer to the current mystery, this will get a pass from me. An observation log of my fiancée who calls herself a villainess. Bertia is a reincarnated villainess, engaged to the perfect Crown Prince Cecil. Knowing her destiny is to be a homewrecker, she endeavors to bloom into a wicked flower and live up to her own dark aspirations. Turns out, she's really bad at being bad, and maybe a little too good at being good. It drives her crazy. But at least the prince is out of this listless funk and having a good time watching Bertia do Bertia things. I had a severe inkling that I was going to enjoy this one. Then the villainess Bertia explained her entire situation to her target, including that she's been reincarnated. That's metal as fuck. The prince, being a perfect boy, bored with the world, finds Bertia to be a source of entertainment is a fun hook. The fact that we're actually in the princess's head instead of Bertia's is a refreshing experience. His monologues about Bertia are a highlight of the story. Using Bertia's future knowledge to prevent tragedies is also rather fascinating. The art is real swell on the eyes too, and the music lands at the right moment. The tease of another reincarnation in the post-credits was another solid hook. I'm excited to see more of Bertia's and the princess's misadventures. Passing this one, for sure. Snowball Earth. A friendless loner named Tetsuo became an accidental hero when he realized he had a knack for piloting his dad's giant robot, Yukio. After the final battle, deep in outer space, he arrived back on Earth 10 years later, only to discover that it had become a ball of ice. How could this have happened? What happened to the human race? And how will Tetsuo keep his promise to Yukio? Wow, nice first episode. The setup is extremely fresh. I wasn't expecting such a harrowing introduction to the world. Tastefully violent, not too gory. I thought the commander girl was kinda cute, so I was a little sad when she died. The only thing that gives me pause is Tetsuo's goals for the show. He wants to make 100 friends, like he's Komi-san or something. Kind of a weak hook. I don't really have many notes beyond that. The establishing shots are gorgeous. Whoever did the backgrounds did a great job. The CG is a little awkward, but not unwatchable at all. They played off the horror in a way that makes me think this will be a little dark comedy-ish, which is welcome. Other than that, I see this getting an above average rating from me by the end. That means I'm passing it, by the way. Akane-banashi. Akane Osaki, captivated since childhood by the magical performances of her father, Shinta Arakawa, witnesses a shocking incident during his decisive performance for promotion to Shinichi Master Rank. 6 years later, now a high school student, she sets her sights on becoming a Shinichi herself, pushing forward in the highly competitive world of Rakugo. If you're a manga reader, you're probably already watching this. If you're an anime fan, you've probably heard from manga fans that you should watch this. I had read the first volume of the manga in preparation for this, and while the source material is fantastic, Zex really brought these scenes to life in such a breathtaking way. The entire Rakugo performance in the second half of the first episode had me on the edge of my seat. The lighting, the camera movement, the acting. The actors nailed these roles too. The raw animation. Bro, that scene when he's taking off his Haori. God damn. I hope they can keep this up. Akane is a 10 out of 10 design. Her fierceness, passion, and comedic timing is only matched by her beauty. I like that she's already skilled at her craft. Unrefined, but she surprises all the veterans with her raw talent. I also like that the family dynamics are noticeably normal. Both parents are in the picture and clearly important to the story, which we sadly don't see too often. I could write another 2 paragraphs, but we don't need that. Pass, 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 pass! Daemons of the Shadow Realm. Yuru and Asa are 2 twins with destinies they have no control over. One day, their comfortable world of hunting and rituals shatters as a sudden attack on their hidden village reveals the truth. The internet exists. Yes, the girl that just murdered half of Yuru's clansmen is using a smartphone. What is Yuru gonna do about it? Will he be able to protect his sister from the horrors of social media? And who is going to answer all of his burning questions? Wow, what an explosive opening. Bones and Hiromu Arakawa are back together, and I immediately felt it. It might sound strange, but I could feel the FMA of it all. In a good way. Yuru even kind of looks like Alphonse. Honestly, all the characters have peak Hiromu Arakawa designs. The beautiful art contrasts with the gore in a very similar way to FMA as well. So much intrigue with the fish out of water modern era stuff, the Daemons, the twins. The story has been set up incredibly well. And I have tons of questions, in a good way. I'm looking forward to the journey this is going to take me on, and it's 2 core. Pass, obviously. Mao. Mao. A cursed 900-year-old mystic living in early 1900s Japan, Nanoka Kiba. A modern girl with a tragic past of losing both her parents in a grisly accident. On a whim, she goes to the place it happened, and it turns out the mall there is a time travel gate that takes her straight to 1900s Japan. There, she has a chance meeting with Mao, who says some things to her that make her question who she is. Will the two of them be able to fight back against the dark powers that grip both of their lives? A lot of people describe this as Inuyasha, but all the problems are fixed. I definitely see the same sort of setup. Girl travels back in time, meets a handsome cursed sword wielding man. I'm sure there will be a lot of will they, won't they, and a journey for some MacGuffin, which is good or bad depending on how you feel. I personally don't really jive with Rumiko Takahashi's art, but it isn't an end all be all either. One thing I will say in its favor is that the pieces that make up the setup are darker, more violent, and just more interesting, which absolutely draws me in. With all that said, I need to see some more before I make a final decision. So this goes under review for now. Needy Girl Overdose. Kay Angel is the undisputed queen of e-girl streamers. There are many girls envious of her position, and there are more than that that are obsessed. But what are these girls really like? And who are you watching? This is the story of a girl who shines like a star and other girls that reach for that same brilliance. And the story of you on the other side of the screen. This is insane. I love it. Coming off of Shibo Yugi, we have the next incredibly avant-garde piece of Japanese animated media. The first episode was a trip and a half. Bonkers imagery paired with meta commentary on social media, specifically streaming culture. They went full mixed media, and it added to the chaotic feeling they were clearly trying to give off. It's dark. Like, dark, dark. Be warned, you will see some stuff you do not want to see, and they do not shy away from it. When I saw Yostar was making this, I sat up and listened. They have been one of my new favorite studios, and this is so far from what I expected from them as a studio that I have found a brand new appreciation for them. I don't even have any idea what the story is or where it's going, but this is one of the strongest passes I can give. Man, I love this crazy shit. Mistress Kanan is devilishly easy. Kanan, a female demon, infiltrates a high school with the goal of devouring some delicious human souls. She sets her sights on the perfect target, a teen boy named Kyogi Yoji, and goes for the kill, only to somehow end up in a relationship with him instead? Kanan's never been in love before, and this oddly innocent demon creates absolute chaos as the two venture into romance. It's much cuter than I expected when I saw the ecchi label. This seems like a floofy good time. Great dynamic between the main pair. Our goddess Aoi Koga, Kaguya-sama herself, is the devilishly easy demon Kanan. Honestly, it's covering old ground, but doing it well and putting in the work to make it feel fresh. I like the food tastes better together mantra this show seems to be preaching, and it's really easy on the eyes too. I can't say for certain how I feel. I'm kind of leaning keep, but for now, under review it goes. Kusunoki's Garden of the Gods. Minato Kusunoki is assigned to manage his family's haunted, abandoned countryside estate. However, thanks to his overwhelming spiritual power, Minato accidentally purifies the entire place, turning the once cursed property into a peaceful haven for wandering gods and deities. As Minato settles in, he finds himself surrounded by quirky divine neighbors and the lively chaos of life among the gods. You know, going in with zero expectations is honestly a blessing. This show scratched some itches I didn't really expect it to. The characters seem rather surface level, but I enjoy the little mystery behind the MC's powers, and Yamagami is cool. Reminds me of Amaterasu from Okami. I also get strong Tonari no Yokai vibes from this, a sleeper hit from 2 years ago. Very Iyashikei, but with a bit of a twist. Because the season is so stacked, I can't say keep quite yet. I'll put it under review for now and let it convince me to keep watching. Nippon SANGOKU, the Three Nations of the Crimson Sun. A revolution sparked by nuclear war, natural disaster, and misrule leads to the collapse of Japanese society. The country splits into 3 nations, vying for hegemony, and the Sengoku era begins. Aoteru Misumi, a former agricultural officer, vows to reunify Japan. He rises through the ranks with only his knowledge and eloquence. Witness the legend of the man later hailed as the genius strategist. Wow. Nothing had me ready for this. What a stellar start. I like the post-apocalyptic and semi-historical fiction genre blend. What a brilliant concept, and it's brought to life in such a breathtaking way by Studio Kafka. The tragedy was pretty telegraphed, but what I didn't expect was the level of gore there would be. It contrasted well with the snow in the first episode. Aoteru is a fantastically well-realized protagonist. He subverts some obvious expectations deftly. The villain seems very stereotypical, but had some hidden depth I didn't expect revealed at the end. I am blown away. Just in terms of raw animation, it's easily the most experimental show I've seen yet this season. Camera angles, rotoscoping, excruciating manga levels of detail. This was bonkers. I find it hard to imagine the studio can keep this up, but I'll have my fingers crossed. I'm in utter disbelief by this show's brilliance. Needless to say, it's a surprise pass. Magical Sisters LuluttoLilly. 2 estranged sisters, Fu and Rui, gain magical powers from alien visitors under the conditions that they only use them for 1 year and have to keep it a secret. With them, they become the adults they dream to be and, unaware of each other's secrets, start doing idle work. I hate to say it, but I am very averse to the entire aesthetic of this show, which is a shame because I actually don't think the plot is that bad. We didn't get much of it in the first episode, but supposedly there will be an idol thing going on. Judging from the one song I heard, I don't think I'm gonna like the music much either. I had some hope, seeing as this was an original from Studio Pierrot of Naruto fame. Oh well. It's someone's thing, it's just not my thing. I'm giving it a fail. Ghost concerts. Missing songs. Music creation has been banned. Instead, an AI called Mukes, fucking kill me, makes all the music. Seria, a high schooler, hears someone singing only to find a great ghost, whatever that is, that appeared from outside this world, wherever that is. Now Seria must risk it all to bring music back to the world. What the fuck did I just watch? I think it's trying to be AKB0048 and doing an incredibly bad job at it. It doesn't even feel like music is banned, just no one cares to make it when an AI does it all for them. And the plot's so full of holes, I can't imagine any alternate media filling in the blanks. The music video during the fight was so out of place and just bad. There were 10 frames of good animation in the whole show. Wow, what a train wreck. I hope this was just an obligation for Engi because I don't want Metalist looking anything like this trash. When you see the words multimedia project on a show, it's 9 times out of 10 total garbage. Fail. Did you expect something else? Witch Hat Atelier. In a world where everyone takes wonders like magic spells and dragons for granted, Coco is a girl with a simple dream. She wants to be a witch. But everybody knows magicians are born, not made, and Coco was not born with a gift for magic. Resigned to her unmagical life, Coco was about to give up on her dream to become a witch, until the day she meets Kifri, a mysterious traveling magician. After secretly seeing Kifri perform magic in a way she's never seen before, Coco soon learns what everybody knows might not be the truth, and discovers that her magical dream may not be as far away as it may seem. This is probably one of the most talked about and hyped up adaptations coming out in a hot minute. And truthfully, I get the hype. Bug Films managed a great premiere. I felt the magic in every frame. And the story, this was such an easy sell. The world, the characters, the magic system. Just from the premiere, I want to check out the manga. The primary motivation felt real and plausible, just not what I expected and not so quickly either. Seemed like a bad idea to trace something so complex. That's probably the only criticism you'll get out of me. Kifri is a great Kakashi-like, and I mean that with the utmost respect. We haven't gotten too much with the other girls, but Coco is such a sweet young thing. You just want to root for her. The magic system is how this show grabbed me, though. Art-based magic. And extremely grounded art in that. Simple lines and circles. Makes the magic understandable. And why it's understandably such a well-guarded secret. Literally anyone could do it. And it makes sense that these forbidden magics seem to be extremely complex, since they do things completely outside the norm for magic. They've also showed off some interesting uses, like the way they fly by putting two halves of a spell on their shoes and putting their feet together to complete it. The hype was real. I mean, I figured it was. Some of the people I really trust the opinions of would not stop talking about this story. Needless to say, I'm passing this one. Fingers crossed, Bug Films doesn't run into any problems. The Klutzy Class Monitor and the Girl with the Short Skirt. Sakura Daimon is a stuck-up class monitor. Koinata is a girl who just wants to be fashionable at school. Neither of them are willing to budge, except maybe they have feelings for each other. And so another wholesome toxic romance begins. So I know Ramparts of Ice is coming out right now, but it's such a different vibe. So I'm going to say that this is my polar opposites of the season. Polar opposites is way better, like way, way better. But this has a similar vibe. With a title like that, you'd expect something more vulgar and ecchi, but it's actually incredibly sweet and funny. The main duo is great. A stuck-up class monitor and a gyaru that breaks the dress code. I can't even begin to imagine how this is going to play out. I love the former gang member health guy. Honestly, the bigger and more outrageous their character, the more awesome they seem to be. All the punching also reminds me of Working, which is one of my all-time favorite comedies. Any old heads remember that show? I think I'm gonna pass this, but it's a light pass. I've got a lot on my plate already. Liar Game. Now has been labeled a foolishly honest girl for most of her life. That's why it must have been a sick joke to send her an invitation to the notorious Liar Game. She pretty much immediately loses the money for the game to her opponent and has to employ recently unincarcerated Heart of Gold con man Shinichi Akiawa to help her swindle the money back. With that, both are drawn into the conniving, cutthroat, deceptive world of the Liar Game. I've had a lot of trusted people saying this was going to be a sleeper hit. Personally, this felt like a story that needed a 2-episode premiere. I just felt like the setup was extremely weak, and we didn't even really start the mind game stuff yet. It all just happened, which I guess is the point, but it was jarring to say the least. I suppose you've got to make the selection completely random to have a naively honest person like Now be a part of the game. The characters need some more dimension too. The teacher was just too evil to be believable. Akiyama is actually pretty cool though. The art is also rather bland, but still serviceable. The music though, I like a lot. The operatic melody that played when she found out about her teacher's lies just oozed the best kind of melodrama. And the music during the ending of the episode also had me pumped a bit. Because there are people I trust saying it's good, and I didn't hate it by any means, I'm putting it under review for now. Fingers crossed the psychological stuff saves it. MarriageToxin. Hikaru Gero is a literal toxic virgin. And I mean, he's a literal assassin specializing in poison that has never even held a girl's hand before. But one fateful night, to save his lesbian sister from becoming a baby machine for the Gero family, he decides to get hitched and hires a marriage-swindling trans woman he just so happened to be torturing to become his matchmaker and wing woman. This is animated Hitch. You know, the Will Smith classic. I've seen one or two bad guy romances in my time, but never one with this level of production. Bones is spread a little thin, doing Daemons of the Shadow Realm as well right now, but you would never be able to tell just by watching. The animation is so Bones. When the action picks up and they pull out that thick line art, Love the characters. Garo is such an ikemen with amazing poisoning skills, an OCD level cleaning tick, and a 10 out of 10 princess carry. Mei is lovely too. For one, she's a guy. Two, they're actually very nice, and I'm excited to watch their dynamic with Garo unfold. Considering the main plot is about being an heir and having children, I wonder if it'll swing in a BL direction between the two leads. One of my favorite parts of the episode was Garo telling his sister that he'd become the heir and to live happily with her girlfriend. Based brother right there. This is the definition of above average, and I don't plan on missing out, even if I forget about it later. It's a keeper. Moving on. I made friends with the second prettiest girl in my class. Maki is a gamer. I mean, he's a social outcast. I mean, he's a high school boy in an anime rom-com. This time, though, it's the second prettiest girl in school that's into him. It's right there in the title. But scratch that, I think the prettiest girl might also be into him. So the title is a lie? Guess it's a love triangle. But hey, at least the main girl is also a huge nerd. Is the main girl second prettiest just because the other girl is blonde? Because in my opinion, Umi is way prettier. This is a pretty samey love triangle setup. I do like that Umi is super into all the same nerdy things as the MC. Makes for a bit of a refreshing dynamic. I really enjoyed their nerdy banter in the movie store. In fact, they are so completely in sync already that it makes me want to scream, "Just start going out!" It was actually really touching when the mom got super supportive, even if the reality is a little cringe. The designs are top tier, and the animation is fine for what it is. Not a fan of the coloring, especially the way the hair is done. Everything else is serviceable. I find that I don't have much else to say. If you like it, go for it. As for me, I'm putting it under review to see if we get any spice between the two heroines. That's the hook I need. Even a replica can fall in love. Sunao has a secret, a personal surrogate that can stand in for her when she doesn't feel well or doesn't want to go to school. While she is very quiet and reserved, her surrogate is more outgoing. The replica falls in love, though, and to keep it a secret from Sunao, they make a promise to only speak when she has her hair tied up. My initial feeling was to write this off, but then I started thinking about the potential drama between Sunao and her replica now, and then I started to wonder if this was some wild interpretation of like split personality syndrome or possibly an everyone's got a mask type metaphor. There's a lot of raw potential behind this seemingly innocuous setup. It would actually be a shame if it was all surface level. Sanada is kind of a wet blanket for a romantic interest. Hopefully he gets some depth. There is one major problem. The show is already kind of weak in the art department, and there's a white, misty border around the screen pretty much the entire time. Clearly artistic decision, but a baffling one. One that really makes me not want to watch it. Between the white border and the boundless potential, this show fits neatly into under review. But if that white border is a constant thing, it's probably getting a fail. Eren the Southpaw. Asakura Koichi is a young designer working for an advertising agency. Lost and confused after being dropped from a project he worked hard to secure, he travels to the Yokohama Museum of Art. This is the place where many years ago he first encountered the talented Eren. This is the start of an inspirational adult ensemble drama about creatives. I did some research of left-handed statistics in Japan because I found it incredibly funny that being a southpaw was such a big part of the story that they put it in the title. Turns out, Japan has some of the lowest percentages of left-handed people in the world. So Eren is like an X-Man with a left-handed mutation. Unsurprisingly, you're ridiculed in Japanese society for being different, even if it's just what hand you use. Koichi is a welcome foil to Eren. Much simpler, more grounded motivations. Love that he takes Eren's tag as a challenge and has his inferiority to her shoved in his face and uses those words to spur his art forward. His second piece is way better. Smell the melodrama. Loved the small bookstore scene with Eren loving and hating Van Gogh in equal measure for his talent. And honestly, an anime about graffiti is just a sick idea. The art so far looks great. I actually thought I might fail this, seeing some of the conversation online, but I thoroughly enjoyed this. Solid pass. Pardon the intrusion. I'm home. Office worker Rinko, 24, lives alone and is secretly an otaku. One day, her favorite mangaka punches a couple of holes in the wall on both sides of her apartment. In the room on the left is a fresh faced yet mysterious guy who is overly sweet to Rinko. The room on the right is occupied by the wall puncher with violent tendencies. Rinko's only source of solitude, her apartment, has been turned upside down. Now, every day is full of heart pounding surprises. I was worried that I'd have another comedy to deal with this season, but for some reason, I didn't get a lot of laughs out of this show. I think I see the real world problems with the setup and can't divorce how that makes me feel from the show itself. I mean, the girl should have way more objections to everything that's happening to her. There's no way in hell either of them are actually boyfriend material. The guys just kind of pull her in whatever direction they want. They both feel like reverse honeypots. The art is actually really nice, and the animation is actually good too. I think if you can jive with the premise, you'll really enjoy it. As for me though, I'm gonna fail this one. My Ribdiculous Reincarnation. The first anime to lean into its MC being a beta. He gets isekai'd while wearing a dog costume and begging a girl for attention. In the afterlife, it turns out the wait times are long for popular isekai destinations. However, you can pick literally whatever you want. So the MC decides to try and be a hero's rib and other nonsensical options. This one is really strange to me. I feel like I should be in love with this show, but the comedy just doesn't hit right. Everything else about it is amazing. Love the setup. The way our reincarnator dies is actually really funny. Love the art. Lots of very unique styles. I like the goddess. She's cool. The MC is kind of a lot. It is fun, and I do have an interest in the other reincarnations the MC has. But I think I'm gonna fail this one. I can't quite explain it, but it makes me feel icky. Gals can't be nice to otaku? Meet Takuya Seo, an otaku who sits behind the popular gals in class, Ijichi and Amane. Since they're people from different castes, you wouldn't expect them to have much in common. But when their worlds collide over a borrowed eraser, Takuya slips up about his favorite anime, and Amane is rather quick to correct him. She says she's not a fan, but her familiarity with the series suggests otherwise. Could she be a fellow geek? I don't mean this in a bad way, but I've seen hentai with this exact premise. And man, the art got me wishing it was. Just kidding. The gals are exceptional. One, an ice queen that's a secret otaku. The other, best girl, and more traditional gyaru, tan and blonde. Not an otaku, but has a heart of gold. Our MC is pretty typical fare, but I mean, we're watching it for the girls and their dynamic with the MC, so it's fine. The earnestness really shines through. I must reiterate, the art is extremely good. The OST has the polar opposites bubble pop sound, which I actually really like. I don't know how much romance, if any, we'll see, but that's the one thing that has me on the fence. I'm not a fan of will they won't they forever anymore. With that said, this is getting a tentative surprise pass from me. Justice for tan girls! The Warrior Princess and the Barbaric King. Serafina de la Villante, the strongest female knight in the West, was sent to subjugate the barbaric tribes of the East. But when her mission fails spectacularly, she's captured alive and imprisoned. Humiliated and dreading what horrific torture she'll endure, she asks to be put to death. To her surprise, rather than tearing her limb from limb, the tribe leader asks for her hand in marriage. Will Serafina face a cruel and abusive arranged marriage, or will she discover that these tribes aren't as barbaric as she was led to believe? I can't really explain why the setup for this show doesn't turn me off like the setup for that roommate show. Maybe it's the really on the nose themes that tell me it's trying to be a girl power show. But yeah, I actually liked this. I hope that Sarah gets to keep being a badass girl boss and they don't take away her agency too much. All the barbarians we've met so far seem like good people. It's ludicrous how they just admit to having a generational culture of kidnapping female knights to become their brides. The humor is subtle. Like, they ham it up, but it's also reality. Our main man, Veor, seems like a card with what few lines we've got from him so far. He's also packing. That final scene made me wonder what kind of show I'm watching. Will that just be a one-off gag, or is Sarah seeing his junk going to be plot relevant? The art and animation are above average, and the OST fits the vibe. This is definitely another 8 out of 10 pass that I'll most likely forget about, but hey, I'm willing to be surprised, and I'll enjoy the ride while it lasts. Kujima, why sing when you can warble? In the fall of his first year of junior high school, Arata Koda encountered a strange thing. In this home comedy, a mysterious creature named Kujima brings new life to the Konoda family, where the atmosphere is slightly tense due to the concern for the eldest son, a Ronin student preparing for the entrance exams. This has been quite the season for comedy. Not all of them have landed for me, but this one promises to be completely bizarre. No complicated setup, just man meets very weird creature, hilarity ensues. It's also a real looker for like no reason. This is funny mixed with cozy rural Japan slice of life vibes, a mix I'm familiar with and enjoy. While the humans all act the way humans do, it's the creature, Kuzima, that really steals the show. He's a giant Russian bird with human limbs for some reason, loves Japanese food, and gets cranky like an old man. Best boy, 100%. The way he helps heal the family while being completely rude and funny is a sight to behold. I don't know how the Japanese VA is making that voice. It's uncanny in the best way. It isn't a wower, but if you like what it's laying up, I'm sure you'll enjoy it. This one feels like one I may just save for a rainy day. For right now, it goes under review. 100 Scenes of Awajima. At Awajima Opera School, girls from across Japan strive to earn a place on stage. Wakana is driven by her love of musical theater, while Kinue studies with quiet discipline. Scholarship student Emi draws attention from all, but especially from Keiko, who struggles with admiration and comparison. Through shifting perspectives, their intertwined days explore ambition, friendship, and self-discovery. Finally, an incredibly grounded acting school plot. No Revue Starlight or Kageki stuff. Straight acting and drama. And holy shit, Madhouse hasn't taken their foot off the gas in years now. That unnecessary first person shot was stellar. There's effort here and it shows. The music and sound design is nothing to sneeze at either. Jose? And Yuri? Ooh, this is gonna be spicy. The character introductions are notably subtle. We even get bait and switched with a girl early on, ugly crying about bathing with others, later singing a wondrous, enrapturing melody alone in a classroom. It's hard to really talk about characters when they're written to be normal people. Things are a little dramatized, but I can tell I'll feel very similarly towards the characters in this show as I did the characters in Journal with Witch from last season. The one aspect I wasn't expecting was the omnibus multi-perspective mini-vignette style of storytelling, a la Tsurezure Children or Tsukigakide. The entire back half with the second pair was truly beautiful, real, and raw. This one is an absolute watch. I'm passing this one, and you can't stop me. Drops of God. World-renowned wine critic Yutaka Kanzaki had a little too much to drink and dies suddenly, leaving behind a 12 billion yen wine collection. Though he writes into his will that the person who can identify the origin and year of 12 special wines and one even more special than them, called the Drops of God, will be the rightful heir to his collection. Fighting for it are his son, Shizuku, who has a complex relationship with wine due to his father's obsession, and Issei, a wine critic who was adopted at the last second to compete with his son over the inheritance. What a crazy ass dad. As sane and serious as this show is trying to be, the dad adopting a wine critic a week before his own death to challenge his son for his inheritance is batshit insanity. That being said, I've enjoyed the non insane parts quite a bit. An anime about wine sommeliers is at least a strong enough hook to keep me watching as long as it looks good. And this one does seem to be pretty high quality, especially during the actual wine related stuff. The way they depict the scents and flavors is so LSD core, I love it. The main character has a literal super nose, which has me a little worried that he may not be seriously challenged. Pacing also seems lightning fast too, so if you're a fan of the OG manga, you might want to avoid this one. I'm still a little on the fence myself. I'm gonna put it under review for now, but there's a pretty strong chance I keep it. I'm a sucker for niche hobbies and sports in anime. Botan Kamiina fully blossoms when drunk. Kamiina Botan is a 20-year-old college student. At the welcome party for the dorm she was assigned to, the dorm leader Ibuki gives her a highball to drink and she becomes tipsy, leading to her involvement with Ibuki from now on. Alert! Hot lady smoking cigarettes. We're getting smoking behind the supermarket before the adaptation actually drops. A comfy show about college girls getting tipsy and coming out of their shell. This one just seems like it'll be a good time. I was surprised seeing the high rating for this at first, but I get it. Quality is there, and it's easily the most slice of life forward show that's come out this season. Though it promises romance and there were some teases of it, I appreciate the more straightforward slice of life feeling. They even have a pseudo food anime vibe with the different drinks they had. I actually just realized that Kamina is a drunk gay adult Takagi-san. Thinking of it that way got me way more interested, even if I already was. I think I found my slice of life of the season. A very comfy pass for me. Fist of the North Star. One day, a wanderer appears out of the wasteland to bring justice to the guilty and hope to the people. A warrior named Ken, a man who bears 7 scars upon his chest and holds the secret of a mysterious martial art known as Hokuto Shinken, the divine fist of the North Star. Somewhere, the finger of a monkey's paw curled. Another historically popular and important manga gets the gross CG treatment for its adaptation. They even have the nerve to switch to 2D every once in a while. I'd say it's at least better than Berserk 2016, but it's nowhere near the heights of Studio Orange's projects such as Beastars or the Trigun reboot. I will at least say that the story is definitely a story written in the 80s. It couldn't be a more simple might makes right revenge story, but I see the Mad Max influence everywhere. I'm sure all the 40-year-old anime fans are fuming at this adaptation. Me? I'm just content not making my watch list any bigger. Fail. Yoa Yoa Sensei. High school homeroom teacher Hiyori Hiwamura is known as the scary teacher. And if you offend her, she'll put a curse on you. Or at least that's what everyone believes. She's secretly a total softie who's deeply misunderstood, and once you see her sweet side, she'll put a different kind of spell on you. Unfortunately, one of her students, Akihito Apikura, has accidentally discovered her secret. Well, this seems like an innocent little ecchi. Incredibly klutzy, busty teacher meets a too understanding student. Decent comedy, tasteful ecchi, and a lot of comfy vibes all wrapped up in an above average looking package. Considering the frequency of 18 plus shows is getting faster, I'm kind of happy to see more traditional ecchi is still being made. That being said, I'm gonna just put it under review for research purposes. Kill Blue. Juzo Ogami is a legendary hitman who has never failed an assignment, no matter how impossible. One day, after wiping out a powerful organization, he is stung by a mysterious wasp and collapses. When he wakes up, the fearsome 39-year-old assassin has been transformed into a 13-year-old boy. Now he must attend middle school to make sure it's safe for the boss's daughter. But as it turns out, Juzo loves studying. Another great premiere. This is like Real Life plus Sakamoto days. Killer combo. Slow burn intro with some ham-fisted dialogue, but once the ball finally got rolling in the second half, it didn't stop. We've only really met our MC, his assistant, and his ex-wife. The assistant is a nothing burger dime a dozen sidekick that does his job in the show. The ex-wife is an interesting character. We learn that they have a kid and he's paying child support even though they work in the same company and she doesn't even seem to care if he pays. Sounds like atonement to me. The bro, Ogami, is kind of a Death the Kid ripoff in design, but he's got the chops to be a great straight man for the hilarity that will inevitably ensue. How can this season continue to surprise me? I'm actually gonna pass this. Can't wait to meet more of the cast. Ichijoma Mankitsu Gurashi. High school girls in a manga cafe. I'll be honest, the OP made me want to stop watching. It should be a crime to make someone's ears bleed. So the art is the bland, samey stuff you see just about everywhere these days, and the animation is somewhat stiff, but there are glimmers of solid direction. Seems like a bog standard cute girls do something cute. And in this case, funnily, there's a pretty good joke density here. Just not anything I personally laughed at. The girls are all caricatures of one trope turned up to 11, the manga obsessed one, the content creator, the gamer, and the straight man. If I had laughed at it, I may have at least put it under a review. Someone will like this, but it would just be a waste of my time, so fail. The Classroom of the Black Cat and a Witch. Spica Virgo is an apprentice witch, but can't use any magic. She needs someone to be her master in order to get into the academy of her dreams, but she has no money and no connections. Suddenly, a mysterious talking black cat that can use magic appears before her. Spica wants to learn magic, and the black cat wants his curse broken. They share similar goals. Therefore, a secret master-apprentice relationship was born. But the key to breaking the curse is kissing his asshole? Okay, I'm genuinely offended this exists. So I have nothing to say about this whatever show other than that you should watch Witch Hat Atelier. Instead, I'm going to use this show as a springboard to talk about the bloat in seasonal anime. I'll start by asking a few questions. In a post-Free-Rin world, among seasonals like Witch Hat Atelier, Wistoria, Bookworm, and Slime, why does a show like Black Hat and a Witch exist? What's the market for this show? Who's the audience? And why would they choose to watch this show at all when there are over 5+ other much higher quality fantasies coming out right now? Because this industry is still largely beholden to producers that just throw everything at the wall, hoping a couple things stick. There is no market, so they're constantly trying to make one. There is no audience because the story was never actually popular. A lot of this slop is from bot farming AI stories on independent publishing sites in Japan, and the people who pick the adaptations for these producers don't even try and see the difference. It creates bloat through the entire pipeline. Too many shows, too many studios, too many committees, too many publishers, too much of everything. It's a mess, and this show deserves a fail. It never even really deserved to exist. I want to end this love game. Childhood friends Yukiya and Miku share everything except their feelings. Ever since 6th grade, they've played a love game. They take turns saying, I love you, and whoever gets flustered first loses. Now in high school, their hearts are closer than ever, but will they finally find the courage to confess? We've got Love is War at home. At the very least, it's a setup that hasn't been beat to death. There are quite a few jarring uses of CGI, but for the most part, the art, animation, character designs, their personalities, backgrounds, music, everything is average at best compared to Kaguya. Hard bar to pass, to be fair. It makes a valiant effort. At the very least, it seems like good fun. I can admit that the two leads are cute. The fact that their social standing is the same makes it less stressful than Love is War, too. Wow, I'm way less apathetic towards this show than Black Cat and a Witch than I realized. You could watch this show and I won't even be mad. I may even catch an episode here or there if I have nothing else to watch. But I'm personally not going to follow this weekly, so it gets a fail if we follow my metrics. Dandelion. Dandelion follows Tetsuo Tanba and Misaki Kurogane, members of the Japanese Angel Federation's send-off department. Their job? Tracking down restless earthbound spirits and gently guiding them to the afterlife. While other angels rush to close their cases, the 21st Division's Dandelion Clan takes a different approach. Dandelion members Tetsuo Tamba and his leader Misaki Kurogane listen to each spirit's regrets and help them resolve what's holding them back. They'll even help a spirit who's running at full speed, desperate to escape them. A new project from the creator of Gintama. The comedy is top notch. From angels being too broke to afford a car, to a man describing his wife as a bulldog on the outside and a Maltese on the inside, to the captain of the angels accidentally running over a lost spirit. The jokes don't stop flying, but it's that emotional realism from the characters that really make the jokes land. And the actual emotional moments somewhat hit. There's even some angel middle management hell stuff that plays out. Our two leads are a great Manzai pair, and they trade roles often. I could definitely watch 7 episodes of this, and it's a Netflix show that they dropped all at once, so I see no reason to give this anything other than a pass. And that's the season. I'm happy and angry that there's so much new stuff to chew on. Again, I'll talk about sequels in a few weeks with my next video. Like, comment, and subscribe for more seasonal anime content. Stay weeb, loafers.